actually, in my mind, I have like two.
Okay.
I got a couple, but I think this is my
Yeah, I
big.
got a couple.
I only have one really that I can think of.
I got one that's bigger, but one's because everyone's opinions on sports. There's
Right.
someone who's going to be
Different.
Yeah, going to think
Oh, yeah.
differently. Some fan base, someone's going to get pissed
Yeah,
off.
exactly.
But I was thinking about this today. Just asking, what is your most controversial sports take? And to go back to this, that made me think of this is that Mitch and I hit a new boredom at home, and that we started doing this. We did this one day where we were just trying to name someone who wore the numbers between someone who wore the number 1 through 99. That could have been any of the professional sports.
Mm-hmm.
And later on, we did hint and help them that kind of thing.
I like that.
But it made me think today was oh yeah, Derek Jeter's number 2. I didn't even say him. It's like, oh yeah. But that kind of
did you say Mark Howe for number 2 there, Whitmer?
No, it's Ben Revere.
Oh yeah, that's right. Do you want to have been a very interesting one though for number 2? Lucas Krejcik.
Yeah, there's a bunch of weird ones, and when you think about it, it's you think they could be kind of easy kind of thing. It didn't have to be current players either. It could be any kind of generation. Like Mitch's first person for number 1 was Warren Moon of the Houston Oilers quarterback.
Yeah, I didn't even know who that was.
I have no idea.
But I feel like if it was all three of us together, but how it is now and everything, I feel like we could do it.
Could, yeah. And it's just off the top of your head. There's not looking up.
Yeah.
But I think it's better if you do have one person just so you can fact check some of these. Like if you don't know exactly what number it is.
So wait, what's controversial about it though?
Oh, that's not controversial.
No.
I'm just saying
that was
what
something
made
different.
me think of the controversy.
Okay.
We're getting off topic.
That worked out.
I was getting off topic. But the reason why I thought about this is because my kind of controversy is kind of around.
What's controversial about numbers?
Yeah,
I thought
I think all three of us we could name off college and professional players.
Yeah,
numbers.
But that's not the controversy.
Easily.
But the controversy for me was about Derek Jeter, for me at least.
Okay.
But I'll just go first, just because I thought about this today. But my thing is, even though I'm a Phillies fan, I generally think Chase Utley was a better baseball player than Derek Jeter was.
Ooh.
We're
starting off with a bang.
I don't really have any stats to back this up, and I'm also not the biggest fan of Derek Jeter. And I do have to do my bias as well. I am a Phillies fan. I'm a Chase Utley fan. But outside of that, I do generally think he was a better player.
All right.
There's
so I'm going to look up. So I will look up stats for it, but before I do,
stats are a lot better than better than Chase Utley's. But there's a couple where
plus Jeter's in the Hall of Fame.
He is. Which also makes makes me kind of laugh that he wasn't unanimous, and everyone freaked out.
Right, that's what I don't get. I don't get how
because
Jeter
nobody in the MLB Hall of Fame gets voted unanimously. That's the thing with it. I think that's why the one person said no. I think that's why, because the MLB is very much traditional in how they do it. Which is why
but
very little changes and stuff like that, and I think that's why.
Yeah.
That made me kind of happy.
So,
Whitmer, was it you?
No, but I'm proud of the person who did it.
I will say, all right. So I'm with Whitmer. I'm a Philadelphia fan, in all. No matter what player you are, I'm a fan of most of the time. I'm a fan of
that, and also I just think he was a much more excitable player. Chase Utley was than Derek Jeter.
I think Jeter is the better player.
So
I'll
put it this way.
You can't. I go off the fact that you can't argue against that, and you can argue based on biasness. You think he might be personable, better, whatever. But when you talk about players, if you talk about a player, you're talking about their stats.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you could say, you think, what's a good example? You think Mark Ingram is the best running back in the league, right?
Is he?
Zeke Elliott. I'm saying you can say you can make that controversial about the running back position. You can say, or for us, for example, Wentz is the best QB in the world. Tom Brady is clearly the best.
Right.
As of right now, since he is still playing, he is a player. He is the best.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how many years you have under your belt. You can still say, okay, this season to this season.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I would vouch for Jeter, even though I'm a Phillies fan.
Everyone will vouch for Jeter. I'm probably one of the few people that will actually say that.
I'll put it this way. So Chase Utley is by far, and Whitmer and I were talking about this earlier. He asked me who my favorite Phillies player is. I even said Chase Utley. I have an Utley jersey. I absolutely love the way he played. He was a Philadelphia player his entire career before he got traded to the Los Angeles Dodgers. And when he came back to Philly in his return with the Dodgers, he got a standing ovation. Yeah, every single at bat he got a standing ovation. Even after he had a grand slam, he still got a standing ovation and a curtain call.
He even said he didn't really like that he kept getting those. He got annoyed by it.
But that's how much Chase Utley meant to Philadelphia and how much Philadelphia means Chase Utley. I, for one, absolutely love Chase. I also loved growing up Derek Jeter. I absolutely loved him growing up, and Philly all the way for all of us and everything. But if you're looking at how the game was played, and stats wise especially, you gotta go Jeter. You can't deny the talent was there for both sides. There's a couple more things you could argue.
Just who did better.
Right, exactly. I'll put it this way: from a former baseball player's perspective, Chase Utley was probably a stronger batter. He would hit a lot more home runs.
Jeter has a better slugging and OPS than Jeter.
Right, which does not surprise me because Utley was just a phenomenal hitter.
Also, Jeter.
Yeah.
I will put this in there too. For a lot of Utley's career, he was battling injuries too.
And that too, which never helps. But
it never helps. However, you can't take that away and saying okay.
No, true.
Yeah.
If you think about Joe Theismann, he never broke his leg in half basically.
Yeah.
Or could he even? Or if Gronk never had 9 surgeries in 7 seasons, where would he be?
If Lemieux never had cancer.
There's so many things of injuries where cancer's different. I want to talk cancer because that's different.
Okay.
That's not an injury. I'm saying the sport injuries are you pull your back, muscle, you get hit by a ball, whatever you might have a concussion. Whatever the game does to you, that definitely reflects on your playing side. You can miss 10 games in baseball. You can miss 6 games in football, which is a lot in football.
Yeah. All
these injuries accumulate, but you can't be that's why I wasn't the best. You can't be that's why I wasn't the best. I had 9 surgeries. Okay.
Yeah.
That's what happened. It happens.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, true.
So,
but
I'm not discrediting injuries to the reason he didn't do so well, that he didn't do better, I should say.
Yep.
But you can't make that the excuse.
True.
Yeah, because Utley, he was, I still think he was easily a top 5 all-time second baseman in franchise history, if not the best second baseman in franchise history. I'm sure that there had been a couple other second basemen.
I agree with that though.
In Philly's history,
easily.
Well, right.
5 easily.
And then again, just how he played the game, he had that blue collar Philadelphia playing style and everything that, again, when he's on your team, you love him. When he's playing against your team, you absolutely hate him. Jeter was also one of those guys that no matter who he played against, everyone loved him except for Boston, just because Boston, New York, they're rivals. But even as Boston players, they at least respected him. I know New York Mets players didn't necessarily respect Chase Utley.
No.
So there's all these factors that come into it,
There's a lot of factors. I think personally, against the controversial topic, everyone has their own opinions, but
right.
I have another one now.
Right,
but anyway, so to wrap up on this
one, Jeter, I think, is the better of the two.
Yep, I say Jeter as well, and Whitmer says Chase Utley.
Not just me.
There you go.
Which means he's
All
wrong.
right,
Which means he's wrong.
All right.
Well, yeah, if you're going off of
wait.
every stat, yeah, I'm wrong. except for
What's
two
the
stats.
second one? What's the second one you got?
Let's run it.
Oh, I was
You
just
said you have a second.
because I've been looking at
controversial topic or
more of on. It's not really. It kind of is, maybe not. But what about Ichiro? Comparing him to Jeter.
I don't know as well, so I can't.
Well,
both,
that's a much harder thing to do because
they are, but
Ichiro was an outfielder and Jeter was an infielder. So
Utley was the second
different.
baseman. Derek Jeter was a shortstop.
They're still in the infield though.
So I'm just talking. I'm not saying all around play, or a little, but I'm saying more so. The
just better
stats.
player.
Yeah.
That one is also a very tough one, just because
it's very
Ichiro,
tough. They're both over the 3,000 hit club.
Yeah. Ichiro, just had everything he did was just very unique. Everything down to his swing.
Oh yeah.
His swing was one of the most iconic swings ever because it's so different,
And how about this, which is really weird, especially baseball? He had 3 seasons where he played all 162 games.
That's nuts.
That's impressive.
And 4 seasons where he played 161.
Wow.
That's crazy.
That's nuts.
That's impressive.
And he had a very, very long career. I don't know. That one's a little tough.
It is tough, but I think I'd say they're a little closer than Utley and Jeter, at least.
Probably, yeah. Yeah.
Ichiro, as well as he is, he's not going to be unanimous.
No,
I think it's.
I'll put it this way: if Derek Jeter can't be unanimous, then Ichiro can't.
I don't even think Babe Ruth was unanimous.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
All right. So.
All right.
Brian, you got one?
So I got a couple, honestly, but
okay.
One's more of like
I got a couple.
Kind of situation. But one of them is, do you think college football is biased towards the SEC?
That's a good one. That is a good one.
Because if you look at it for just go a couple of years for the college football playoffs, an SEC team has gone into the football playoff at least all but 1 year, I think.
Mm-hmm. No, I was going to say it's either been every year, if not almost every year.
It's been every year but one at least. And the SEC team has made it to the championship every year, but one, if anything. So with that, do you think is the SEC are they just good, or do you think there's a bias towards them?
I think there's a bit of both. I think.
Yeah, I was gonna say I definitely agree. There's a bit of
that
both.
The kids coming out of high school and the recruiting are going to want the best players. Where do they want to go? The best schools. Where are they right now? That division, that conference. Sorry.
If you think about it, also conference. But if you think of Clemson, Penn State, some name brand schools.
Sure.
Still top, or we can.
But again, Bama is the best. It was probably the best program out there for football.
Probably.
If you really, because think about it, you get an opportunity to play with Nick Saban as your coach and everything. Not many people would want to pass that one up if they had that opportunity to. So again, I definitely agree with women. I think it is a little bit of both, where there's pure talent, they're just that.
But then I
good.
think later on in your college career, like Jalen Hurts, for example, where you're like, I don't want to be a backup. I want my resume to speak for me, at least going forward for my professional career, for my football career, and go somewhere else so it can actually start and play more games and then have the resume. Mm-hmm. I think you also have that too, but.
I mean, I really don't have to say. I mean, I was curious about that. I was curious about that.
But I mean, I can see why people would think that the league or NCAA is biased towards SEC. Like again, look how many teams have won the national championship. Look how many? Because I think a big part of it is because don't people vote? I guess on who gets into. I forget how the college football playoff works.
There's a college football board or whatever.
Yeah, there is.
Right.
That is or whatever.
But I remember, wasn't there a couple years ago where I think it was what
It was
Florida State?
it was Alabama or Ohio State that was going to get in.
That's right, and they chose Bama over Ohio State.
Mm-hmm.
So that was pretty big.
There's always a team I feel like where it's like in any other, like if they're in a different conference, maybe the schedule wasn't as difficult where they're undefeated, but they don't get as much credit to to a Bama or a Clemson that lose one game.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to kind of piggyback that off the championship. Do you think there's one sole champion or there's multiple champions? For example, here's an example. A couple years ago, UCF went 12-0, but they deemed themselves a college football national champion when Alabama won it. So do you think there's one true champion?
Yeah.
There's one true champion. Whoever wins the national championship, they're the national champion of college football, and that's it. And I cannot stand that UCF crap or just
because if you say that, like, oh, I'm a champion, you can go to the NFL and be like, oh, I won the AFC. I'm the champion of the world.
Yeah. Literally.
Did you hoist the Lombardi? You did not hoist the Lombardi. You're not the champion.
No, here's a perfect example. In the NHL a couple years ago, the Nashville Predators, they were the wait a minute, I can't. You have to help me refresh my memory. They won. I don't know if it was just their division or oh no, I think what it was. They were the President's Trophy winners, if I'm not mistaken, for the best record in the NHL. And I can't remember if they do get a banner typically, but they rose their banner as regular season champs. Do you remember that?
I do, but I don't see a problem with that.
But like, it just sounds weird to say. Okay,
it sounds weird, but when aren't you going to do that where it's not your first home season game? Where it's your home opener? I feel like that's the only time you can really be able to do that. And you do get a banner for winning the conference. You do get a banner for the presidents. You get banners for these things.
Yeah, but right, so
that doesn't mean that's definitely not. You're definitely not a champion by any means because they didn't win the Stanley Cup.
Right. Oh, this is what it was. Okay, so and this is also why it was so controversial because, all right, Brian. So since you're back on everything, so I saw in Whitmer a couple years ago, the Nashville Predators they won the President's Trophy. Oh no, they're just the best team in the West that year in the regular season. That's what it was, and they rose a banner that says regular season Western Conference champions. Now, typically in the NHL, there's a Western Conference champions banner that you raise. Whoever is the best team in the West that makes it to the Cup Finals representing the Western Conference, they get the Western Conference champions banner. The Vegas Golden Knights that year won the Western Conference Finals and went on to go to the Stanley Cup Finals against Washington Capitals. But the problem was, again, kind of like that UCF banner thing. So the Predators call themselves, and it's even on the banner, it says regular season Western Conference champions 2017-2018. If it's something like that,
I don't have a problem with it. They disclaim it's the regular season.
Right, but it's just so bizarre to just say, oh, we're still you raise a banner to say we're the best team in the West for the regular season, not the league. If it was the league, the best team in the league, you're deemed the President's Trophy winners, which is an actual thing. But you don't ever see a team raise a banner because they're the best team in the Western Conference in the regular season, not the league, but just the regular season. In the Western Conference.
My only thinking for that would be one, Nashville's kind of young in terms of teams, young on the younger side at least.
Yeah,
and they don't have many banners.
So, which they don't really, but still, it's just I don't know.
Also, I don't have a problem with it. Similar to saying an MVP caliber is based on the season and not playoffs too.
Okay. Yeah. I don't. It's a tricky one, but all right. I got a quick one here for you guys. Whitmer, you're gonna be able to talk about this a little bit more easier than Brian, just because it has to do with hockey. But I'll still.
Ah!
All right. So this is.
What do you think, Brian? Did you have an answer for yours, or was that just a general question?
It was just a general question.
Wait, about which one?
No, the one you just talked about. About like.
Okay.
About what you said or what I said?
What you said.
Yeah, what you said.
Your controversial thing.
It was a general question. I think for to see, I think there's some bias because of the past.
Okay.
Yeah.
However, at the same time, like you guys said, like if you get the recruits, you get the recruits. If you transform those recruits into better players, then you get that. So.
Oh no! Sorry. Not the SEC one. The one about the regular season. Or sorry, the one about like, is there one champion or multiple champions?
One champion. Purely one champion.
That's what I figured.
That if you're holding the college football playoff trophy, or the Lombardi trophy, or the Stanley Cup, or the World Series trophy, you are the winner. There is no spider web, other effects of, I won this. It is
right.
You won, and you did. It's kind of like this. It's kind of like the mindset of you're first or you're last.
Mm.
You hold it's either you're holding the trophy or you're not. That's what it is. No matter if you make a banner for yourself, if you didn't bring home that trophy, you didn't win. But yeah, there's that. I actually have one more too. I have a really interesting.
Let's go to Jeff first, then back to you.
Yeah, after you. Yeah.
All right. So again, it's a hockey one. Still to this day, and it's the controversy, it's gonna piss off a lot of people, specifically Pittsburgh fans. The 2005 NHL Draft was rigged. Sure, Pittsburgh.
I can't speak on that.
Well, right. That's why I feel bad, because I want to throw in a topic that we can all touch on, but this one to this day. So all right, let me put it in perspective. The Penguins, they were one of the worst teams in the NHL that year, among I think the New York Rangers, the Anaheim Ducks. They're all towards the bottom, and I believe that was also when they were doing they're still doing the lottery draft, or they started with the lottery draft and everything. But the problem was they didn't have any video footage of it. They did everything behind doors and everything.
Gotcha.
And that was also around the same time Pittsburgh almost sold their franchise a second time. This time, they almost relocated to Kansas City. And
you're back to Kansas City.
And what better way to save a dying franchise at that time than giving that franchise a franchise player who by now has helped win them 3 Stanley Cups, 2 of them going back to back. That's just how I feel. Again, like there's, certainly a little bias in me because, I'm, a Philadelphia fan. I'm not the biggest Pittsburgh Penguins fan, but
you hate the Penguins.
Yeah.
Yeah, you hate the Penguins.
Yeah. Anyway,
this is going back to the 03.
I'm assuming that's Crosby too. The Crosby you're talking about?
Yeah.
Well, that's what okay. Sorry, let me be clear. Unless I wasn't clear.
For people who may not know, I know who it was.
Right, but no, this was to get the first overall pick to draft Sidney Crosby.
Yes.
Who again won 3 Stanley Cups, multiple MVPs, and all that, and but I don't know. That's just something I've always felt like, and just again, what better way to help save a franchise than to give Pittsburgh Sidney Crosby? I'm surprisingly not the only one who thinks this theory is true.
Probably, but also didn't they get Evgeny Malkin like the year before?
They got him the year before with the 2nd overall pick, because they had a chance. They got first overall. They had a chance to get Ovi.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually will help.
I'm actually looking at this
counter that.
Stuff,
okay.
And Pittsburgh was the worst team that year. They
okay.
58 points. It was only a point difference. Washington had 59 points. Chicago had 59 points.
Wasn't the Rangers in there?
The Rangers had 69 points. We're talking 03-04, right?
No, 04-05.
04-05 didn't happen.
Or no, I'm sorry. Well, right, and that's also why though it's such like a bigger controversy because the 04-05 season didn't happen at all. So it's like, so you're basing this draft class off of
Year prior.
2 years ago, basically.
Yeah. How else are they going to do it?
Well, right. That's what I'm saying. It's like, is it really fair to do it though?
Right.
Like, I feel like you got to have an actual season to play for it, or like make the draft class wait another year type of thing.
So here's this. I'll help on this end.
Yeah.
If he wasn't on Pittsburgh, he was going to Washington.
So
Or
regardless of what team he goes to, you still have to produce. He could have been a bust.
He could have.
Nobody knows if a player is going to be able to perform at the higher level. No one knows.
Right.
Look for example, going back to something I know. Jameis Winston came from Florida State as the number 1 pick. Look at him now.
Marcus Mariota.
Right? Marcus Mariota.
I still love that how Winston won first overall. Oh my God.
But think about that. He was
He's got a great
supposedly the
arm,
best thing. But he thinks so. Look
For
at
30
that.
picks,
He was. Yeah, but think about it. It doesn't matter. At that year, he was the best football player that the NFL said he is the best player to be drafted number 1 overall.
Yep.
Look at him now.
He's the biggest one.
Yeah. So
there was.
It doesn't matter. I
there's a bunch of
believe it doesn't matter if you're going to be a first-round pick or not. You have to produce.
Mm-hmm.
You can be picked overall, great.
Pick. Especially first.
If you be a first overall pick, great. You can be great at the level below, but can you produce at the next level? If you do, amazing. You deserved it. If you didn't, it shows. So I don't believe picking someone at first overall changes the course. It just Crosby did amazing. He produced.
But the other thing I will say that again, it's I do agree with your point though, where it's like you can't deem them like good right away. But I will say the one thing to defend like how good Crosby was at such a young age though, just everybody knew like,
who was
the
great.
way that they saw him play, they called him basically the next Wayne Gretzky, which is a huge compliment for someone who was. They were calling him the next Wayne Gretzky at 16, 17 years old, which is nuts.
He's one of the few players that actually got some kind of press for being that great of a player. And that's what they went off of.
And we're talking like Sports Illustrated. Even ESPN, who barely talks about hockey, was talking about him left and right back then.
But even if he doesn't, let's say first, second, third, right? If they don't have that first overall pick.
Yeah.
Bobby Ryan or Jack Johnson. That was pick 2 and 3.
Yeah.
There's a bit of a drop off, I will admit, but they did get Jack Johnson later.
Yeah. But no, Jack Johnson, I don't know how he went 3rd overall. That's nuts. Someone did not do their homework right. Anyway, though, so that's just my personal opinion. Whitmer, as a hockey guy, I don't know how you feel about that. Susan.
If you don't go off of the draft lottery, because the NBA has had this for years, people thinking it's rigged.
Mm.
Yeah.
The Lakers, when they were bad, all this. But if you don't go off that, just based off standings, they were the worst placed team. And the NFL's sake, the worst placed team gets the first pick.
Right, but that's the NFL, though.
Yes, I know, but just going off that logic. It makes
sense.
Right,
which would make sense. But if you have a draft lottery in place, it doesn't always guarantee the first overall pick. It guarantees the best chance.
True.
Or the highest odds. But which is also now why the NHL has made it a little bit. Shut up. Which is also why the NHL has made it basically since the Oilers got Connor McDavid in their sweepstakes. Or it was, I think, because they kept getting the first overall picks. That's
a good example of it. They got many first round picks. Not all of them really turned out that great.
Well,
some did.
Yeah.
Some not so
Nail
much.
Yakupov didn't.
No.
Connor McDavid, who was the next Gretzky and Crosby, did. But I don't know.
I get it. I get it, though. Yeah. I feel like every year there's someone saying, oh, this lottery is rigged because of something like that.
Yeah, it's like, how does
That one
this
I get
team?
it more. That one I get it more because it's even harder because the year prior there was no season.
There was no season. Well, that's what I'm saying. It's. I feel like it's a little bit more unfair. It's like, how I don't get why you're basing off from something 2 years ago because we didn't have a season this past
Mhm.
year, and I don't know.
But
That's
yeah,
just
but the counter to that would be, how else would you do that?
right. And that's a great point. My only theory would be, maybe combine the draft class. I don't know. I'm just making up. But I will say this to kind of defend Crosby in that situation and everything. Like, he did create because of him and Ovechkin and everything. They did help basically bring the NHL back in the spotlight, and that really really helps. Because think about it, when Crosby and Ovechkin were first playing, that was the first year after lockout, and do you know how many fans were dying to see those two play together or against each other and everything, and just play in general? Thousands and thousands of fans coming to see those guys every night. It's crazy.